Welcome, everybody, to this podcast of getting to know the Dhammakaya community. My name is Sander. People call me Lompi or LP, meaning monk. I'm a Buddhist monk ordained in Thailand, and I've been living in the Dhammakaya temple in the Netherlands for the last 9 years. I have with me two people, and today we will be talking about our personal experiences in getting to know the Thai Buddhist temple and its traditions, which in our case is the Dhammakaya temple. This is still a bit new for us, so you'll have to bear with us while we find our way through the podcast. With me is Heiko, who is a volunteer at the temple in North Rhine-Westphalia, Germany, and a meditation teacher, and B, who's a volunteer and coordinator at the Dorje Meditation Center in the United States. Welcome to both of you, and let's start with B first.
I was just making a point when I was listening to his journey into Buddhism and Dhammakaya, how um, it very different it is from mine, and it made me realize how so many of us have very different ways that we found this just the teachings of the Buddha, how we found it, and then also even our what we do in our roles and how different they are. And what it really made me realize is how so many of us are probably doing different things in terms of like sharing what we learn in different ways. And it's all important. And then it also made me realize one of the things that my mom taught me, which is building a house and how there's so many different parts to building a house, but you need everything. And that's maybe I was able to connect it even to the temple and what I do in terms of my role. But yeah, my journey was very different than Heiko's all the way. First of all, I've never had a chance to ordain before, but
Uh, but
I have gone to a
how
couple
you
retreats.
said you talked about your mother. How did your
Yeah.
mother play a role in you?
Oh, my mother was very important in my journey. So I'm a first generation born American, and that comes with it different challenges because, you're also bicultural, and it takes a bit to even understand what that means as an American. So just because you're an American born into a Buddhist family does not mean you're going to be Buddhist in any way. And I think many children probably struggle with that and gaining their independence and trying to find out what works for them. And I see it in a lot of the kids that come with their parents too, for example. And I was definitely one of them because I didn't really know what it meant to be Buddhist. I was born into a Buddhist family. My mom practiced Buddhism, but she wasn't very committed. It took her a long time too, and her journey was very different, many years to finally find good teachings that really helped her become a better Buddhist. So my mom was more Buddhist by name most of her life. And of course, then I kind of got that passed over to me, but I didn't know what it was to be Buddhist at all. I didn't know what the Buddha taught, right? And then went to college and I wasn't anything. I was spiritual. And that's it. And I didn't identify as anything because I didn't really know what Buddhism was. I didn't really know I didn't know what any of the religions really were. But my mom was, you know, she wasn't practicing at the time, but she was uh, listening to Dharma talks from different teachers in the Forest tradition. And then a Dhammakaya Center came to Georgia in, I guess, 1999 or something. And my mom at the time was a big gambler. She was actually, and you don't know this, LP, but my mom
Oh,
was
you're
addicted to
spilling the
gambling.
beans today, huh?
Yeah, she doesn't mind talking about it because her journey
Okay.
in and of itself is very interesting to see where she is today and her transformation because of the teachings that she's learned from the Dhammakaya Center, which really changed her as a human being and transformed her. So I wasn't interested, but she started going to the temple a lot and started talking about everything she was learning and Dharma. And then I started to see major changes in my mom that was like very interesting because she became a different person. She was very committed to going to the temple. She started meditating a lot. She stopped gambling completely. So I witnessed this transformation in 10 years. And yeah, it took her 10 to 15 years to kind of get me involved into the center. And I wasn't even involved, just going once in a while because I didn't really care about that aspect of life. I was enjoying life. I had lots of friends. It's not something you're really thinking about when you're kind of in this world that, you think is what life is, going to school, having friends, going to parties, whatever. And then my mom's throwing this meditation stuff, and I'm like, I don't care about meditation, Mom. Why are you talking to me about this? And then another thing my mom kept doing was Dharma all the time. I would always hear about, wisdom and things that would make me think. And I would get really annoyed at her sharing all this wisdom all the time because I didn't care to hear it. But, you have challenges in life no matter what, and you consult with your parents. And she would always talk about Dharma and everything. And it was very, it was good information. So I realized, wow, it actually makes sense. So it was very slow process in terms of changing, or not changing, but getting me involved in the center. So the person I was then to now, it's night and day in terms of my commitment, 1000%. And even here's a great example. She always would share good deeds and doing good deeds. And just to shut my mother up, I would give her $1. It was kind of like, here you go, Mom, leave me alone. $1, right? So that's who I was. And then to be, a patron of Katina, from to go from that to that, it's kind of extreme. So how I got involved was my mom tricked me essentially. Um, After I graduated college, the temple at the Georgia Meditation Center, they wanted to have classes, to offer meditation classes. And she voluntold me, and I was very upset about that. And I got mad at her for just volunteering me without consulting me. And I said, I'm not going to do it. You're going to have to find someone else. But long story short, I said no. And then I turned back around and I realized that, um, it doesn't hurt to just share this. I knew meditation was good, and the monk at the time wanted to teach. So I said, Mom, I can market it for you, but I'm not going to go. I was like, I'll do the classes. I'll do the classes, meaning I'll put some advertisements online as long as I don't have to go. That's that's how it started. So as you can see, things definitely changed. So yeah, that's how I got involved. So a very different route than Heiko.
So what was the turning point for you?
The turning point for me was I decided to help the center. Well, I got voluntold to volunteer, and I decided to just do my part, and I did not go. And then the teaching monk at the time who taught got relocated to Canada after a month of me setting up all these advertisements for the classes, which was on Tuesday at the time. And even though I didn't go and I was not involved, my brother actually did. He kind of took a different route. He was a lot more committed than me at the time. And a month later, uh, the monk got relocated to Canada. And I was so busy with my life, I never turned off any of the advertising that was out. It was kind of like just ongoing, and I didn't know. And then people would still continue showing up at center. And the abbot at the time, Lumpinai, would call my mom and was really mad at my mom. Why are people showing up? We don't have anything going on. And then my mom would call me, hey, you need to turn this off. And then I didn't even care. I just let it go. I was I was like, I'd have to research on how to turn it off. So I just kept it on. And then I figured eventually a monk would come. So I kept it on. And then 6 months later, I got phone calls, I got emails, people would come to the center. All this stuff would happen almost kind of like it was like synchronicity or something, kind of forcing these things to play out almost. Like I was
Okay.
pushed to a corner, essentially, is how I felt. Like it was just literally on my lap that I had to get involved. And then I realized, I think this meditation thing's important. So so that's why, because I kept on getting so much interest in it, it made me realize, hey, all these people are trying to find out about meditation, and here I am, I have straight access to it, and I don't even appreciate it. So that was my turning point.
Mm.
And that was in 2007. So
Wow.
2007,
That's quite a story.
2025, I'm still here.
So when you got involved, when you saw all these people interested in meditation, then you thought, well, there must be something there. Otherwise, why would all these people be interested?
Yeah, and these were like Americans, right, Lumpy? They were like educated, just popping up at the center, emails, like just it was just definitely something that I knew, wow, this is something special I shouldn't overlook. So then
Okay.
I we didn't have a teaching monk, and I saw that there was this interest. So I asked Lumpy Nai at the time, and this is in 2007, if I could start a meditation group for the temple. And how I was going to do that is I was going to piggyback Lumpy Bunshu in Texas and use Skype to, and so I feel like people don't know this, but I actually was one of the first pioneers to do that.
To do the
But
online
yeah, because no one did it. It didn't exist. It was still Skype.
right.
Like, and Skype wasn't working. So I literally had to go buy a teleconference machine so that people could see Lumpy's face and hear the audio and bring it together because Skype wouldn't even work on the audio. The bandwidth wasn't there yet. It
Oh,
was in beta 2007. And that's how I utilized that technique for interviewing for my company so that we didn't have to fly people and it didn't work very well. So we bought like a teleconferencing audio unit and then the CEO could watch people on television and hear it through the phone. So we use that technique of the Georgia Meditation
oh.
Center. Yeah, in
Very-
2007,
yeah.
because we didn't have a teaching monk, LP. And LP
Yeah.
9, because it was so progressive and just no one had done it yet. LP 9 was like, you know what, you can do this, but I'm not involved. He's like, this is your thing, B. And then I'm thinking, but I'm doing this for the center. I'm not doing it for me. I'm doing it because I know this is what you guys are about. But it didn't even register to me because I couldn't connect it. It didn't make any sense. I was just like, whatever, Lumpy, fine, I'll do it. Um, and so yeah, that was the beginning. So Lumpy Bunshu, who's now still a monk, many years later, I have to thank him wholeheartedly for his compassion to lead those classes and it being such a new thing that wasn't even accepted yet for many
Yeah,
people
but
to do.
he's in a meditation retreat in Thailand now, isn't he?
Yeah, I love him. He's awesome.
Yeah.
But it got to the point too, because there's many challenges to that, where it
Yeah.
got to the point where he's like, B, if this doesn't work, I don't have the heart to continue teaching like this.
Oh,
Because
okay.
it was
I
pretty
remember him
difficult.
because we ordained together.
Oh, he's
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
good.
in 1998,
Yeah,
ordained as a young novice.
yeah.
At that time, I was just 19 years old. I think I was
Wow.
just 19 years old at
Yeah.
that time, and just getting 20 at the after the program, and we ordained together in 1998. But of course, he stayed on as a monk to become
Mm.
a full-fledged monk, and I was just doing the novice program.
Mm.
Yeah, but
That's
I
amazing, LP.
remember.
I didn't even know you know him. See, we're all connected. That's pretty
Yeah, yeah, and we were in
insightful.
the same room, at the same room. He
Yeah.
was very strict. Every
Yeah.
morning, he
Yeah.
would wake up, immediately meditate on his bed,
Wow.
and
Yeah.
I thought he had a nightmare. I asked, what happened? What happened? Are you okay? And
Yeah.
he continued to meditate. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, he
So
was
Heiko, you. Oh, sorry.
oh he was I heard he was pretty strict, but for us I didn't see that part because the teaching was the main thing and the guiding meditation.
Right.
So
Oh,
yeah.
he was good. It was good. It was a good encounter.
Hmm. Hmm.
Heiko, I remember you told me also that in the beginning you didn't have a teaching monk either, did you?
Yeah, we had monks, but only speaking Thai.
Oh,
Yeah, at the temple. Yeah. So when I was listening to B's story, I also thought that there is like there were like two steps, like getting in contact with Buddhism, like overall, and then later on, later on, getting in contact with the Dhammakaya temple. So there's like two different worlds, how to say that, yeah. Because Buddhism was, I don't know, there for me like long time. I don't know. I watched a TV program, only the end of the program. I think I mentioned that already sometime. And I was so hooked by this program, so I wanted to know more. But there was like no internet in that time, and I went to the local bookshop, and there was like only one small book about meditation. So I had to drive to the next bigger city and then buy everything I found about Buddhism. And I think first it was like a Tibetan Buddhism, but then I found out like Thich Nhat Hanh's books about mindfulness and stuff like this, and visited the first retreats, and yeah, got in contact with meditation. But then it was like an up and down phase. So like, yeah, doing something, but then forgetting about it and getting back into it and meditating a little bit, going to retreat, but then stopping again and stuff like this. And then later on, yeah, getting in contact with the Dhammakaya temple due to my wife. She's from
because your
Thailand.
wife is Thai.
Yeah, she's Thai. Yeah, and when she came here, so like we had like only 3 Thai TV channels receiving from satellite, and one of them was Dhammakaya TV channel, and she got more and more into the teachings of Luang Por, and she recognized there is a temple nearby, so we started to go there. But for me, first I thought like, what is that? I see the temple with like so many people all dressed in white, and I was like skeptic first going to the temple. But for me, like the turning point, like I said, was the first ordination program, where they said, I not remember correct if they told me that it's an ordination program where you are becoming a monk, or they just said it's a retreat. But anyway, I went there, and yeah, I met you. I met Luang Pi Vichai. He was like a very important teacher for me, because he was never tired to answer my questions, and I had a lot of questions. Yeah, and that was the turning point with the Dhammakaya for me. Yeah.
Okay, because that sounds like a big revelation, right? That you suddenly go from a world where you don't know what people are talking about, and in Thai language with all the ceremonies.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I sometimes I compare it with like there was like a car. You know, this Buddhism is like a car, but after the first ordination, I had the key to the car. I don't say I could drive it, but I could unlock it and just sit inside and slowly driving maybe. But it's like a whole different story. And like I said before, the teachings, they were like so structured that, okay, before I heard about the Four Noble Truths, Eightfold Paths, and something like this, I read books about it. But to hear the teaching like in a live Dhamma talk,
right,
is something different. Yeah, I would say. Yeah. So the teachings like very structured, and the ordinations were like one thing, and then later on the Naktama program, online program, was like even more structured. You have the life of the Buddha, you have the Buddhist proverbs, you have the Dhamma part, and you get really structured teaching, because it's so big, right?
right.
And then you try to break it into parts and teach something from this, from that, and that, and that, and then you can bring it together back again.
So, but it was helpful to you in your daily life.
Yeah, I think that it's hard to say that there is like the one thing that is important. Maybe you not realize it like immediately. But when you practice longer time and you look back, you see that, yeah, something has changed. Like when I first heard about how to say, the five silas, right? I heard it in the Thich Nhat Hanh tradition, and I thought that, wow, it's so hard to keep the sila and not drink beer anymore in my whole life. Oh no, I cannot do that. But now it's like so natural not to drink anything. It's
Right,
like,
right.
yeah,
So it
it's
really
totally
became part
normal.
of your life.
Yeah.
Mm.
This is totally normal, but everybody is outside world is still asking, no beer at all? Like really no beer? Yeah, it's no beer.
Must be difficult, Oktoberfest for you, huh?
Yeah. That is also something that yeah, that I'm not interested in that
No.
kind of stuff anymore. Like yeah, I can go, sure, I can also enjoy, but there is other stuff that is much more important, interesting, satisfying. Yeah. So
And
life
meditation,
changed. Yeah.
right. So meditation also became part of your path, because as a yoga teacher, that really also connects with your practice, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm also teaching like yoga, but for me, it's like the important thing is not to be able to put the leg behind your head or something. It is like to still your mind. I think this is also the most important thing in the yoga practice. Like Patanjali is mentioning that in the Yoga Sutras, that yoga's chitta vita nirodha is like yoga is becoming is the stopping the activity
Cessation.
in your mind, and that is always sticking with me. That's my foundation in the when I do a yoga class. Yeah, and I was speaking with another teacher the last weeks, and we were speaking about meditation, and she said that, oh, it's not so easy to teach the meditation. Maybe I do 5 minutes, and in the beginning it was the same for me, like doing the class and doing the shavasana at the end, and that's it. But I think, I don't know, after one ordination I said that no, I have to include meditation into my classes. So now we are sitting like 5 minutes every class.
Mm.
And yeah, it's becoming like more natural also for me to not only to do my meditation at home, but also to teach it, yeah, in the low level way that I can that I can do it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now I remember as well that in my case, I when I became interested in Buddhism, there was also that is the sort of way you would be familiar with meditation through a yoga class or through that is what normally how many people know about meditation. But in my personal life, when I was like becoming interested in Buddhism in 1997, 1998, that was like in those days, there was no real, it was very difficult to find a Buddhist teacher that would really be able to explain the Buddhist teachings in depth. And at that time, I went to several places. There was Shambhala. I went to a Shambhala retreat. There was a Zen teacher, and I remember he was teaching in Belgium. At that time, I was studying in Belgium, and he was like teaching, and there was this class, and we were supposed to sit and face the wall, and then meditating. And I wasn't really sure what to do. I wasn't really told in much detail. It had something to do with the breath, but I couldn't really exactly know how to concentrate on your breath or something like that. It was very yeah, something difficult for
Mysterious.
me. And then there were like people who were sleepy because it was in the early morning, this class. And then there was like people who raised their hands, and then the teacher, he would walk towards them and he would hit them on the shoulder. with a big stick, and it would make a loud noise, like really slap, something like that, and then you wouldn't know what was going on because nobody had informed you. And so it was like that was like the introduction, the first months that I learned about Buddhist meditation. And then there was suddenly there was a website, and this website, it had everything about, it had a lot of information about meditation and Thai Buddhism. And I remember that this website really was interesting to me. And I sent a letter, because in those days email wasn't in much use, not much use, not very common yet. So I sent an email. I sent a mail, a real mail, to a real letter to the meditation center that was in the west of Belgium, in Ypres, of all places, the big city that is known for the First World War, and and also the Second World War. It was like, why would you have a meditation center in Ypres? but it's the city of peace. So in a way, it kind of makes sense. And they had a little meditation center there. And I remember going there and being completely fascinated by this little place. Like it was a world apart. It was like a different world altogether. Like I entered some kind of twilight zone, some kind of different world. And maybe you can recognize some of those feelings, like the first time you really enter a world where you don't know about these things. And then Lumpy Nicolas, he was teaching about Buddhism at that time, and he was teaching meditation. And there was an employee helping him, and his name was Pima Pong, and later he became a monk as well. And throughout,
you got the very best teachers, Long P.
yeah,
right
I was
away.
lucky. I was lucky. At that time, I was just 19 years old, like I said already, and at that time, I was like really getting to know Thai Buddhism, and it really inspired me, because at that time I already heard about meditation, but I wasn't doing it right. Like you said, Heiko, you get to know a little bit, but you're not exactly deep into it yet. And then later, when I meditated with Lumpy Nicolas, it was a very long time. And there was you really got deep into your meditation, and it really helped me a lot, the meditation method. So I did meditate before, but I couldn't really it didn't really grow on me that much as this particular meditation method, Dhammakaya meditation. And then finally, I really had to, and then Lumpy Nicolas, he was talking about the 38 blessings. Now, the 38 blessings is a very traditional text, which has been taught in Thailand for a long time as a sort of overview of all the Buddhist teachings, from the very simple, most simplest, to the highest, to awakening, and so on. And it was like something very new for me, and I was completely taken away. I mean, Pima Pong, the employee, he really had to remember, he had to remind me to get back on the train, because I was just like completely taken away by the teaching, and I forgot all about the time. And it would remind me, I think your train is about to leave, and I would have to go back my train, go back to the city I was studying in at that time. I was studying in Ghent. So those times were like magic for me. I'd really so fascinated. I was like completely, really fired up, like really having learned and heard about something completely new that was completely, it's like when I think back before that time, it feels like a different life. And then maybe some of that you can probably.
Oh yeah. So it sounds like you had this awakening, Long P, like this, wow, this is really important. This makes a lot of sense. Yeah. and inspirational, and you're getting absorbed in the information. And yeah, that's the thing about Dharma, Long P, is when you have a good teacher, you don't want to leave. You can stay there for hours and you're just like, you don't even realize the time just slips by because you're talking about things that are really profound and matter, for me at least.
No, it's true. It's true. And so for me, it was like, I remember everything in that place. It became part of the magic, They even had a little map, which was just like a simple map of Belgium, But it kind of became part of it. Like this is this amazing place. It has a map of Belgium where they are looking at Belgium and they're spreading loving kindness to Belgium and they're wanting to it was just probably just an ordinary map and they didn't really have any plan with it, but it was like I really was so fascinated by everything. And then Lopi Nicolasi, he wanted me to be a volunteer more. And then I remember with the summer, during the summer break, I had free time. I was a student and I didn't have much to do. So I thought, well, I'm going to ask several Buddhist monasteries or temples if they need my help. So I called the Tibetan monastery, which was at that time, it's still located in Huy in the south of Belgium. And they said, we don't need any volunteers. They were very clear-cut, gave a very clear-cut answer. They worked mostly with employees. They didn't work that much with student volunteers. So I then at that time I just I called the temple in Ypres, the Dhammakaya temple, and they said, well, we are still very new and everything, and it may be difficult for you to have a space here, a room here, but you know what we can do? We can suggest that you may be ordained first as a novice, that you get ordained first as a novice, learn about the monkhood, like the basics, for the period of 3 weeks. And then you come back and be a volunteer. Mm-hmm. And so that's what happened. And so that's what happened. And so I went to America, which at that time you was not such an easy thing. There was no EasyJet. There was no, there were no low budget airlines. It was expensive trip. But I thought I was like a challenge, I felt like I'm going to do this. I'm going to shave my hair. I'm going to be like a novice for 2 weeks in training for 1 week and be a novice for 2 weeks. And I completely loved it. It was in Azusa at that time. We were with 103 novices. Wow. And one of them was Lumpi Bunchu, as I already explained earlier. Mm-hmm. And we were, and one of the teachers was Lomporata. Wow. And Lomporata, as I later learned, Lomporata was the deputy abbot of the temple in Thailand. And he gave all these teachings, but he was talking in Thai. So I had to rely on a translation. So there was somebody giving a translation afterwards, and this was Lompi Vichai. So the same teacher of Heiko. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So we both today we are both commemorating the same teacher. So he passed away now for 2 years, right?
Yes. Yeah.
2 years now. So we're both commemorating this great man. So he was doing all the translation, and he was really taking his time. And I was there. Most of the novices, they were like Thai novices. They could understand Thai. They couldn't understand most of it. Not all of it, but they could understand the gist. And so they got all the people that wanted the English translation together. There were a couple of people who couldn't follow. Most of them were Westerners. Mm-hmm. And they asked, who wants the translation? And then we went to join the translation with Lompi Vichai. Mm. And he was like familiar with Dhammakaya temple in Thailand from the early days. Like we're talking about the 70s and 80s. He was there from the oh, like there was nothing there yet. He knew about all that. And that was like completely, I was very fascinated by this history, this temple that was basically just very briefly, at that time, it was only there for like 20, 25 years. And it had only been there for like 20, 25 years. But it had already had this enormous history with not just one teacher, but three teachers. There was Lompo, the great master who started meditation, Dhammakaya meditation, and then there was Kunyai, the nun, who was a very simple but profound kind of teacher. And then there was Lompo and Machio. Each teacher has its unique qualities, and it was very fascinating for me to learn about this tradition, because in the West, when we are learning about spirituality, it's almost one guru. It's almost always is one guru, and then this one guru will sell all the books. It's like a model that is easy for merchandising and for so that's what you're used to. So you have one guru, and then you go to that guru or you go to that guru, but there is no real lineage in the West often. You really have to ask. I mean, there's like some people like Thich Nhat Hanh, he will have certain days where he honors his teachers, and it will be a procession or something. But if you don't know about that, it's just one teacher, one guru. And if you go anywhere, it's like that: one teacher, one guru, one book, one publishing house sometimes, and then that's it. But in this tradition, there was like, they talked about the teachers in a series all the time, and I was really fascinated by that. So at that time, I thought I just want to stay as a novice, but I couldn't. I had to finish my studies. So I went back to my studies, and all the time I was thinking about this life, and I wanted to go back living in the temple. And I started to keep the 5 precepts, as Heiko said already, for 5 silas. That started to work for me as well. Now, if you say, Heiko, if you're saying that keeping the 5 precepts is difficult in Germany, I was living in Belgium. So this is like the place where everything is beer. So this was like, why are you not drinking? Is there something wrong with you? Are you ill or something like that? Anyway, in the end, I finished my studies 5 years later. It took me a while because I changed the subject, changed my major. And then I worked for about half a year, and then I started working for the temple in Thailand. I made the change. I didn't at that time. I wasn't sure if I was going to ordain. I hadn't made that decision yet, but at least I was going to be a volunteer in the temple in Thailand, and I would learn everything about that world, and I never regretted my decisions. It's been 20 years now, and I still like it. I still like it. I like it more than before, actually.
That's awesome, Lompi. It's such an inspiring story. I love your story because, Lompi, you probably, you might not realize this as a monk, but I do think that a lot of people are grateful for the sacrifice. Every monk that ordains you, all the great teachers, we all know what a big sacrifice, and it's just always very interesting to hear your story and what got you to where you are. Because for all those practicing, we know how hard it is. Even upholding 5 precepts is very difficult, much less 227 precepts that you uphold. So yeah, it's a great story, Lompi, and very inspiring.
Yeah, well, I don't see it as something like you have to withhold, or you have to like really
like you're sacrificing.
Yeah, I can understand that you call it a sacrifice, but I don't feel like you lose something that you eventually you gain. I think you gain a lot in the process. But of course, both paths are possible.
I think that.
But in the worldly sense, Lompi, people looking at you see it as sacrificing for the greater good. The
Right.
discipline that you have to adhere to, the sensual desires that you're not able to partake in. Most of us living in the lay world, that's very difficult. And for us to give that up, that's considered a sacrifice because it's not easy. But I can also see when you do it, it actually ends up being not something better for you. Because for me too, when, taking a look at, do I feel like I'm sacrificing by upholding five precepts? I don't feel like it at all. I feel like I'm gaining. But if you think about most people who know that I uphold the five precepts, to them who they don't, they will see it as a sacrifice before they get to where I'm at.
Yeah, yeah. It reminds me of that phrase from the Dhammapada where they say, if you see a higher happiness, you should sacrifice the lower happiness to obtain the higher. Yeah, yeah. That's one that comes to mind. And I think sometimes it's the challenge is not so much that you lose something, but that you have to see that you're actually gaining something, and you can't see it at that moment. For a drunk, there is no world besides drinking. I'm not talking about you, of course, but I'm talking about the everyday drunk. I had a drunk in my family, and he couldn't imagine a world outside of this. So for him to sacrifice the alcohol was like something you have to really you really have to suffer a lot. But it's only when he really started to quit drinking at the end of his life that he realized how much he had gained, and how and he must have. He's now passed away, but he must have really blamed himself that he never made that choice before. So it's not it's often like this with spiritual sacrifices, and I think the five precepts is also a very big one. Yeah. For some monks, they feel that both steps, going to the five precepts, which they previously had to do, and then later on becoming a monk, that both of these steps were like very big and maybe just about as big. Yeah.
It is, Lumpy. It's not very easy in our society. It is something that people really have to intentionally be committed to, and
Right.
go against the grain. It's interesting that you'd think we would be talking about it like that, but it is, and I see enough people, share that. Yeah, oh, I hold the five precepts except for the alcohol.
Yeah.
And then you're like, well, you're not upholding the five precepts, but then you don't want to like ding him, and you're like, do the best you can.
Yeah.
But it is hard. Like you have to really be committed to your meditation and the wisdom and kind of see the the how important it is for your well-being essentially in the long run. But I've actually seen too in general society embracing um non-alcoholism now myself.
More
And it has
mindfulness.
more to do with health, but whatever the case, there's more and more people that are I'm meeting that don't drink, which is great.
Yeah. I heard about the rise of mindfulness cafes where there is no alcohol, and where people are more like coming together with a sort of mindfulness. Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully that continues to grow.
Yeah. Well, it's not new. We've had in the early days, like 100 years ago, we had there were like these teetotal cafes where you could only get ginger ale or something like that. And
Right.
yeah, but we kind of forgot about those days. I think the last what do you call it, temperance cafe that is still
Mhm.
left is in England.
Oh.
Yeah, but it's not new, these kind of things. But these days, alcohol it's still there isn't as much criticism towards alcohol, and as in 100 years ago.
Right. Actually, LP, before, I've thought about it. I'm like, why? I wish I was born in a time when not drinking was cool.
Oh.
And then I Googled and I was like, wow, there was actually a time when it was against the law to drink. And I'm like, why can't it be like that these days?
Yeah, but a lot of people drunk in those days. A lot of
Oh,
people
people did
drank.
drink.
Yeah, a lot of people drank during the dry
Right.
during the
I
when.
think they probably did it because they were told not to, too. That's another thing. It's like if you're trying to force people, that's when they
Yeah,
rebel too.
yeah,
So
yeah. It's like forcing people to become a monk, huh?
that doesn't work.
But you were not forced, right, Heiko?
No, I'm thinking about that with the drinking stuff, right?
Yeah.
And connected to our talk here is the information that you get. Like I said before, I read the books. I heard about karma, Buddhism, and karma, right? But karma is something like abstract. It was something abstract.
Yeah.
Something bad happened to you. Oh, okay, that's your karma. Something good happened to you. Oh, okay, you have good karma. But getting in contact with Dhammakaya temple, that changed everything, right? Because you learn that, okay, there are certain things that you can do, and in order to create good karma, and you can like design your way a little bit in life. And the most important thing is that not only in this life, so also in the next life. So the picture gets much bigger, and realizing that, okay, it's not only when I'm drunk that the next day is like not good, say it like this, but my karma is also not good, right? And I'm building a habit, and is so much about building habits, even in meditation practice, right? This is also like building a habit. It's like not from 0 to 100 that you go to one retreat and after that you sit like every day. At least it wasn't for me. So I had to build up, and now it's so natural for me to like sit every day and not drink because I have a reason to do it or not to do it.
Right.
Deeper reason, but you have to get the information first somewhere. And not only read it from a book, but to see that people are really like practicing it. That how B said, the monks that like sacrifice their lives, and they're so into it, and like teaching that that was very impressive for me. But as I ordained a few times now, I can see and guess also the advantages of the monk's life, because you put some barriers, but the barriers are protecting you mostly from the bad things that you don't need in your life, right? And you can concentrate on your practice like much deeper.
Yeah, that's true. Certainly. So this is also maybe a good moment to put in a little bit of advertisement. So we are starting the European Ordination program in June this next year, 2026. Maybe this will be broadcasted in 2026, so will be this year. In Europe, we'll have the ordination from 8 to 28 June. You can join the 3-week program, and you can stay on longer if you want, but this is the minimum is at least 2 weeks, and then you can do the retreat the 3rd week, and if you want you can stay on, but you'll have to mention that beforehand. And for those of you who are interested, you can go to the website, and we'll put it in the description box or put it in the information on this podcast. So and there are also I think there are also similar programs in the United States, right? B.
No,
Not at
not
this
that I'm
point.
aware of. I think Lone P. Nicholas does ordination, but I don't always know when. I don't hear about it all the time right
Okay.
away. So as of right now, the only place that does ordination would be Azusa, and that's just like once in a blue moon when that's put into the program. But no,
Okay.
it's EU or I. We send everyone to I monastery.
Okay. To
Yeah,
I monastery. Right.
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 Who want to ordain. But then now, of course, we at this point sharing that there's one in the EU too
Yeah.
for
So we
those.
have a European program, and for those who want to become a monk for a month or for longer, there is also I monastery
Right. Yeah.
located in the beautiful hills of Chiang Mai and or the beautiful forest of Chiang Mai. And Heiko has already been there.
Yes.
And so Heiko has been to every place already where you can become a monk.
Yeah, I think so.
Did
Yeah.
you ordain at Pape too, Heiko?
No, at I monastery
Okay.
in Chiang Mai. Yeah.
Okay. Pape has one as well.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah, it's close to each other, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I guess the EU, which do they have theirs every year? Do you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
Okay.
Every year in mostly it is in Belgium, but in, last year or this year, I have to say this year it was in London, and it has
Okay.
been in Denmark once, but mostly it's in Belgium. Yeah,
Okay.
it was only interrupted because of COVID, but
Oh,
before
I
COVID,
see.
it was like every year, every year. Yeah,
Yeah, I always do my best just to share all of the ordinations with people and let them decide which one
yeah.
resonates with them.
So the EU ordination is like only once in a year, but
Okay.
I monastery you can, I think, like every second month they
Right,
have like this ordination program
right.
where you have to stay for 1 month, and yeah, it's
Yeah.
really worth it because they have also amazing teaching monks there,
Hmm.
and the environment is like perfect. You are
Right.
in the jungle in the middle of nowhere, and there is nothing disturbing you, and you can like really focus on the ordination. Yeah, it's great.
Mm.
Yeah. Okay. I'm very happy that we did this together.